How's it going, everybody? This is the ONC Boy, and today's review is on Cold Steel's 2011 version of their Voyager. Now, I have been a big fan of the older model. I do not have the VG version, but I do have the AUS 8 version from, I believe it was 2009 and then some. And this knife has been very, very dependable, extremely sharp, very durable. Great all-around knife and super light for such a big knife, and I've always been a big fan of using it. And I was a little hesitant, of course, when I saw that they were making the upgrades, but of course with everything there's always room for improvements, and I think they did a great job with this one here. This is the newer version. This one here does have a few slight differences. Just to point out, now I felt that this version here that I have, it always reminded me of a K-bar type of blade shape, whereas this one here seems to be much wider, and it reminds me, as a matter of fact, of, I believe it's Benchmade's Onslaught, as another reviewer had pointed out, and well done. Now, one thing also to point out, this here has the hollow ground, where we have the stop point here and it grounds down, and of course this here has the full flat grind, which I'm getting to be more and more a big fan of after some of the knives that I've had, and really digging it. This is a true workhorse of a knife, and of course, as always, Cold Steel products I've had comes razor sharp, and this one here as another improvement along with its ergonomics. We have a nice finger choil stop, no jimping really that's detrimental. Nice end piece here for strong pommel striking and so forth if need be, because this Grivory material here is again another set improvement from Cold Steel over what they were using before. Highly textured, great grip, and it really fits nice. Reverse grip. Still have a nice place to put your thumb, maybe all around if you have to get deep into it. And one thing also is the end piece here for maybe grabbing a hold for the finger slots here as well for maybe straight on. One thing I really digged about this knife that I noticed is that if you are going to be having your hand straight out like so and straight on, with that tight grip of your hand on that handle, that blade is always perfectly pointed out. So well designed, and that's one of the things I really never seen pointed out, but I wanted to share that with you. Very impressive. For straight on, those nice little flicks, it's always straight on. Perfectly aligned, and I find that amazing. Me being a swords person, I really that's one thing that really just popped out to my mind. Another aspect that I liked as an improvement over this particular model, which again, I love this knife, and I will keep using this knife because this here I'm going to be saving for more bigger, heavier tasks, whereas I think this still fits the bill in some departments, don't get me wrong. But closing this here, as you've seen, maybe just noticed, there's that stopping point. And same deal if closing down. Now, of course, this knife here is broken in, and I can flip it out now. I don't think that was the case when I first got it, but with this one here, the newer version, smooth. And I don't know what type of bushing action they got in there. Maybe it's a result of having those aluminum liners, maybe. But it's a pretty smooth opening knife. I feel I'm still in the breaking in point of having it. I've only had it for just about over a week, but with a little bit of a flick of the wrist just as extra assistance, but even without it, that came out pretty quick. And this is some heavy duty stuff. I found this knife to be along the same type of thickness, but having them side by side there, not so much the thumb reach from the other for those thumb studs, but we're talking about the same type of thicknesses. Maybe a little more thickness of the spine in some and the others, but that long swept blade, it reminds me of a Bowie, whereas this one reminds me of a K-bar. K-bar, Bowie, tomato, tomato. But really a great cutter. I wouldn't necessarily classify this as a fighter, but need be, could be. I would be careful about maneuvering this particular knife. I found that depending on how you do it, I put myself in the danger zone doing it maybe that way. And maybe sticking with that particular action, great ergonomics, Cold Steel. Now, one tactic I particularly like to imply with my knife handling when I'm flipping my blades around for fun and so forth, or even some different types of task cutting, is I will flip this over this way for this type of shearing action, where not that it's usually uncomfortable, but I do face the finger choil kind of digging into my palm. I'm not going to lose any sleep in it. With a tight enough grip, it kind of just falls right back into place once I got it, but it is so awesome. So, big improvements, big fan. I was back and forth between this and getting myself a Recon 1. Not the biggest fan of blackened blades, but the stonewash finish on this particular knife is something really truly to admire. And even having it from a different angle, you still have that like glass-like kind of shine to it when the light hits it just right. So you know that it's not really rough, but it's got that awesome machined type of stonewash finish to it, where maybe that will pose better resistance to rust and so forth. I don't know. Getting to be a big fan of this triad lock, well done Demco, and I see the ColdSteel's implying it on many of their particular knives, and good stuff, and extremely strong. If you listen well enough, you can really hear that just pressing in. Of course I am just breaking this in, but there is that pivot bar there where everything kind of just falls right into place, and what a solid lock-up. No play whatsoever. This does come up traditionally shipped to me with the tip-up carry version. One thing I will point out, and I would recommend, is that you take this clip off, even if you have to get yourself one of these types of screwdriver, torque huskies or whatever. Take that clip off, get yourself something to clamp this end piece in, pry that out just to the desired level. Bends pretty easy when you have it in one of those vices. It's not going to snap or nothing, but just use your best judgment if you're going to be doing that kind of stuff. Just because when I did receive this, of course, when I received this one as well, I had to do myself a little frontier medicine, a little magic there to bend it to the point where it was not so tight up against that handle that it was not letting you get any kind of play for getting my material in. But now, when I had first done that, I'm literally was pulling up my pants like this, trying to get that knife out. And I think with just enough give, you should be okay, but that's a judgment call for yourself. Do what you want to do. I did have to do this one the same way. So, all in all, great knife, great improvements, highly usable. You could even get away with everyday carry. It is only 4.6 ounces, so, but it is a big knife. It's a little wider than the other one. That's why I like carrying this one so much. But great knife, all in all. Big fan, and I highly regard it. So take care out there. Enjoy. Let me know what you think. And this is the Owen C. Boy signing off.